to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee. I got a lot of hands up right now. In today's episode, I am super excited to welcome a talented artist known for her unique cross-stitch and embroidery pieces that blend social justice themes with a touch of snark. Please welcome Sara Weimers. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, I'm waving in case, for all those people out there.
No one is watching.
I know,
I'm watching. It's for me. I appreciate it. Just a touch of snark.
You're right. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on, and thank you for coming on. And I know we flexed a few times, so I definitely appreciate the time, the energy, and coming from hours and hours away because you're in Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Those are fighting words.
Oregano?
It's Oregon.
Oregon, yes. That's Nike land, right?
Huh? Yeah.
So as we start off, could you tell us a bit about like your upbringing, experiences from like the West Coast, Bay Area, Seattle, all that good stuff that kind of works itself into your work and your perspective?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very small town in Oregon called Florence. Same house, same kids, small school, knew everybody my whole life. I think I was one of 10 to leave the state for school. So I enjoyed growing up there when I did. Looking back, knowing some things, it wasn't that great. But I also knew that there was more. So I kind of just left and moved my way to the Bay Area without really thinking much of it, just kind of packed up and moved one day. And it really expanded a lot. I was around people that I was never around before. I was around, I don't know, business, everything, art, I worked in San Francisco, so the energy, the people, it was fantastic that I never got to experience in a town of 5,000 people. Right. And that's also when I kind of connected to the queer community. And so I think a lot of my introspection about my own sexuality kind of started there. There's a little seed planted. And so probably most of my queer art and my queerness comes from San Francisco, right?
It's a San Francisco treat, I guess. No, that's terrible.
I spent a lot of time in the Castro, a lot of time Pride every year I always got so moved. Yeah. I always got so moved with Pride. And I think it's because I was so not jealous, it was like happy. I was so happy and proud that people could live in their joy 100%, because I hadn't found that for myself, right? Mm-hmm. So there was this, I don't know, it always moved me to tears because I was just so happy that people could just live in their joy and be themselves 100%. And so I think I took that away as well, because I'm learning that for myself now with my art. My voice is becoming more authentic. It's becoming more truth. It's becoming less afraid. And so I took a lot of that from my time in the Bay Area as well.
Thank you. Yeah. Truth is important here, obviously, and it's in the name.
Truth in art.
Truth in art. Yeah. So how did the sort of this embroidery work? If you will, let's roll back a little bit. If you will,
yeah.
Describe your art and how what motivated you to pursue your art, this sort of style of art, and kind of the messaging that goes into it.
Yeah. So I'm going to take you way back, because I started cross-stitching when I was 8. My mom did it for years and years and years. All of our art in the house was all handmade cross-stitch. Every holiday she had handmade cross-stitch something. And so my first piece was for my great-grandmother at her retirement home when I was 8 years old. And it was the only art form that I kind of stuck with and kept doing really at times for like mental health. It helped me focus. It helped me kind of stave off my anxiety.
Sure.
And then when COVID hit, I had to give up my massage practice. And I was like, what am I going to do? I have to stay home with my son and homeschool and make income somehow. And I don't I don't have a lot of options. And so I turned to my art, and it really became, like I said, this voice and the process of emotions that I was never really allowed myself to feel. And then honestly, when George Floyd was killed, it just, I wanted to do something, and I didn't know what to do. And so I thought, well, what skills do I have? Like, what can I do? And so that's really when the political and social justice art part came out.
Yeah.
I connected with the Crafters Against Racism, and we raised, I think it was almost $9,000 for different charities throughout the country. I wanted to keep mine local, so I actually donated what I raised to the Oregon Justice Resource Center up in Portland that does a great job with bonds and stuff like that. So my art just kind of became more political, just kind of naturally. I mean, what was it? Gosh, 2 years ago now, but it was tense, and it still is, right? Like, I became kind of black and white with the people I allowed in my life, and so my art reflected that as well. So it kind of just granularly kind of happened with what was happening around me, as art does, right?
Yeah.
It reflects.
So, and thank you, because I think it's, with how we consume news, how we consume media and all of that stuff, it is very much 24-hour news cycle, move to the next thing. And this is what people who are, quote unquote, boots on the ground, front line, or what have you, who are experiencing to varying degrees. I remember this podcast kind of took off in that year. People were captive, people were home, and I'm able to get some of those interviews, and people just felt this desire to share their story and see the worth in their story and their experiences. So from your standpoint, we're going to talk about process and kind of like conception and all of that in a second, but I think I'd be remiss not to mention it right where we're at. Do you feel that what are artists responsible for in terms of speaking on kind of like not necessarily politics, but kind of like society around them? Are they required to do that? Because I know some people are like, I don't talk about any of that, or some people are like, that's all I talk about. What is your standpoint in that sort of area?
I have come into this kind of late in life as far as politics and understanding the world around me as I understand it. Now everything's political, right? Our very existence, unfortunately, is political. So we can't just ignore. We can't let things slide. We can't. I mean, when it comes to human rights, like there's no negotiation, right? Human rights are non-negotiable. Yeah. But that's clean drinking water. That's, unhoused. It's all connected, right? Yeah. So we have to talk about these things. We have to spread our message, right? We can't just ignore, like, oh, well, it doesn't affect me, or, I don't know. I think we have to speak on it. That's my roundabout way of yes, we have to speak on it. Because unfortunately, like I said, our very existence, how we get to work, how we get our groceries, how is all tied up in some sort of politics. And so we have to just be aware of that and understand how it all plays in together, and how we all play into it together as well.
I appreciate that. And I agree with you. I think a lot of times, and I've heard this from artists, and I've and experienced this myself, and a few conversations maybe in the old emails. I won't reveal who said what, but it's this notion of, can you leave out whatever your own personal experience is? We want to cherry pick the parts of what we like about what you do. And can you take, like, literally, can you take the black out of it a little bit? It's like, oh, really? Word? And it's just like, that's, you know, I don't have to be the most overt about any of the stuff that I'm doing. I think the work really kind of speaks for itself. But I think at the same time, you know, if one wants to know how I feel, just look at who I bring on, look at who I invite on, look at the type of conversations that are happening. And I think it's very much a part of the conversation, and it's one's experience that is in it. If, you know, like, I've been a 6'4" black man for a very long time. So, you know, my sensibilities are going to come from that. And the good stuff and the stuff that people are like, I don't know, man. So me being a guy that's going to throw out some puns, it's going to have the Rob with the hard R thing in there, you know? That's just what it is, you know? Just,
yep.
So talk about, if you will, your process, like from conception to like creation to completion, like the 3 C's, as it were. Because I know nothing about embroidery or cross stitch or any of that stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, stuff just happens, right? It just falls out of a tree, and there you
magic.
Go. Poof, there you are.
I wish. So a lot of my work it's memey, it's snarky, pop culture-y, nerdy. I'm a big nerd.
I see the Star Wars behind you.
yeah, big nerd. So I can't really say what inspires me. It could be a song I'm listening to, and I just have a vision for a lyric, right? And it's hard to explain, but I just see the vision in my head. I just see it. And luckily, I'm able to translate that into my Procreate if I'm doing embroidery, and sketch it out as best as I can. And then I just stitch over that image, and it becomes the image. Voila.
I love it.
Voila. But I have the image in my head, and then I draw it out, and I stitch it out, and that's what it becomes.
So it is a, because and I didn't know that myself right there, like the Procreate portion of it. So there is a digital component, which, you know, is a digital component to what feels to be mostly analog, because, you know, you're very much using your hands. Yeah.
Yes. For some people, I have no education in graphic design. I am not. If you were to see me hand draw like a dog, no, I'm a stick figure person. So it's been a learning curve, but if I can get a rough sketch out, then the thread kind of does the work for me.
Yeah.
I have technically no art education. I have no graphic design education. It's just all instinct. It's all intuition. It's all fun. It's all play. It's all what makes me happy today, or what am I feeling today? And that's what I stitch.
I dig it. You know, they say everything is content. Everything is content. I know I just referenced a goofy Instagram thing.
Now that song's going to be in my head all day.
So in terms of your process, and, you know, how do you go by like what you want to show us, and to like how you're going about making your stuff? Because I think and the reason I asked this question, because I think, you know, people look for that. Like, how do we, you know, how do you make that? I want to see how you do it. And that opens it up to, wow, that's how you do that. And it's like, you know, you're not supposed to do it that way. So tell me about that. Like, how do you go about like navigating, like showing parts of like how you go about your work, stuff that's in process? Tell me about that.
I love sharing. And if I remember to take pictures and videos, I will share. I'm not one to keep my process secret. I'm not. If people ask me a question, I will tell them where I get my supplies. I will tell them how I back my art. I have been supported by other stitchers that have answered my questions.
Yeah.
Also, it's served me so much with my mental health, with finding that voice, with connecting to people on the internet and in real life, that I want to share that with others. Why would I want to keep that all for myself, right? So I enjoy sharing the process of like, this is how you do this sort of stitch, or hey, this is, this is how I draw it out. Look at this fun new process or whatever.
Yeah.
I like sharing. Yeah. I'm not as comfortable with videos as I probably should be. But it's not for lack of not wanting to share. It's just for lack of, shyness, I guess.
Yeah, I read the whole what is it, extroverted introvert? Is that what I read?
Yeah. I like being around people for about 4 hours. And then I need about 2 days to recover. So I'm going to be honest. I spend a lot of my days in my pajamas and just sitting on my couch listening to podcasts, yours included.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just cross stitching or designing, or that's what I do. It's not very glamorous, but
well,
I have
fun. That's the thing. Like I kind of like this like glass wall of shame that I can use as a podcast screen, because sometimes it's like, hey Rob, go out there and work a room. It's like, I'd rather eat lava. Like, it's a challenge. I have a timer that goes off. I'm like, all right, I got about 35 minutes. I can do 35 minutes before I'm like, and if there's no drinks, if there's a drink there, all right, I might be able to go 2 hours, but it's just like, I need to dip. I gotta go because I'm very noticeable too. It's like, oh yeah, that's Rob. I'm like, hey man, how you doing? How you been?
Yeah,
I'm going out the back door. Where are you going? You going somewhere else? Great, because I won't see you there. Yeah, it's I kind of have that, and my partner, she always makes fun of me. She's like, you're really overriding that whole you don't really like being around people thing. You can really override that. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I discovered that I really enjoy being around people that I want to be around.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. I tell people I don't just like take a shower for everybody. Right. So if I'm out having coffee with you, you made the list.
there's value in that. Like I'm very much the same way. Like I'll put it this way. If I go out, I have my my art guy rings. I've been collecting rings. And if I'm wearing my art guy rings, then it's like I rock with you. That means I've showered. That's and it's like, hey, we're getting coffee. We're doing the thing. And as I've been getting this reputation within my extended circle of friends of, oh, you're a culture guy. So if I'm introducing you to a new place, that's like another tier. Because I probably know the owner. It's the things. I might have a drink on the menu that we're going to try.
Yep.
But that's how it is. And but yeah, as I always like the invite versus actually going. Like the invite is like, oh, okay, people recognize me. Great.
Right. They haven't forgotten that I exist.
Right. So talk about, if you will, like a period in which you've like wandered in search for like a calling or a niche. I've been doing this, it'll be 14 years, and kind of finding in the last few years that this is something that is very interesting to me, and how to like kind of build it in a slightly like different way than I thought I was going to do initially. So there's some wandering in that. I've probably done or hosted 5 or 6 different podcasts during that 14-year period. And it's not like throwing stuff against the board. It's like something I thought like, this is going to be the one, and really putting time and energy into it. And eventually, it may flame out, but this is one that I really enjoy. And I think it's a lot of value in it. But it took some traveling, took some wandering, if you will.
Yeah, I get very excited about new ideas very easily. I feel like I've also lived about 3 lifetimes. I've been retail management. I've lived in the Bay Area. I've lived in Seattle. I've been married twice. I've been massage therapist, and now I'm artist, mom. I just feel like there's just been different lifetimes that I've led. So there's been a lot of wandering. But I like it that way. I like new things.
Yeah.
In regards to my art, I feel like there's a little bit of wandering, honestly, every day, right?
Mm,
There's a little bit of exploring. There's a little bit of like, is this the right thing right now? Maybe later.
mhm.
Um, I like exploring. So the wandering, it's never for naught, right? Because you're always learning something, or even a new skill, meeting new people. Um, I would say last year, I think I was like, is this really the direction I want to go? And then there was this event in Bend called the $20 Art Show. And it's thousands of pieces are entered each year and hundreds of local artists. And it's just small pieces. They're all $20. It's a big event. And it was being held at the High Desert Museum here in Bend. And I think I sent off like 10 pieces. And I made sure, I said, okay, Stuart, you know what kind of art I make? Are there any like rules and regulations against swear words, penises, like anything like that? And he's like, no, it's art, right? Within the first day of them putting it up, the museum was already getting complaints about my art. And my first reaction was like, good. I was like, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Because art should invoke feeling, right? Art should have conversation. Art should make you think. But also be a parent and just explain what the word fuck means. Like,
Yeah.
right? Be the parent. He's going to learn
Yeah.
either from school or YouTube. So might as well be from you. I mean, I have a 9-year-old and he sees my art. He inspires my art. He's coming home with suggestions all the time.
So, Mom, here's the thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, and some of them are pretty good. Some of them are pretty clever. But no. So last year, sorry. So that kind of like initially good, but then you have that self-doubt. Like, oh, is my stuff too extreme? Is there an audience for this? Am I just the weirdo that like this should just be for me? And then the first night, it all sold out, all my art. And so that was just like boost of confidence. Like there is an audience for this. I am going in the right direction. This is, yes, this is where I need to be. And so that was just a confidence booster. And so just from there, I've become less afraid with what I put out there, and I just kind of go for it. And luckily, I have had the most supportive community. I get no trolls. I'm so surprised with the content that I put out there. But people are here for it.
Yeah.
People are here for it.
I love hearing that. I love that. And being able to go for it, have your voice, and it's like, this is what I want to do, and this is why I want to do it. And I'm very much a why guy.
Right.
It's just like,
and sometimes it's just silly.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's just something that makes me laugh. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. But like I have to put it in stitch form.
I mean, there is a rumor of a ghost podcast that I may or may not have done where I'm in character talking to myself. I dubbed myself having a conversation with myself in character as an artist. Yeah. So
I love it.
You got to do these things. It's fun. You got to keep, like if at the end of the day, you're doing it, you're not necessarily doing it for an audience all the time, like,
oh no,
you're doing it for yourself,
I always say I would do this whether people bought it or not. Like, I'm compelled. I am stitching all the time. It's kind of sad. People say obsessed. I say compelled.
I like compelled more. Compelled is a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's like in that link I was describing before we got started. I think I've mentioned that a few times. Like once I become compelled or I get curious, those C's, that's the thing. All the other stuff of I've had people who tell me, hey, why don't you just do video? I say, I don't really want to do video. That's like my face is weird. And I make a lot of weird faces when I talk, and I don't want that captured. I don't want to say, oh yeah, Rob, remember in this moment when you were like, I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that out there. It's documented, and now it's in the archives of my face.
Right.
But yeah,
I'm so glad that this stuff did not exist when I was a teenager or even really in my early 20s, because it would be a disaster. Now, at least as an adult, I'm fully like giving consent to look like an ass on the internet, right?
I always tell people, it's like, no, look, come watch me make a tit of myself. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
So in these last moments here, I want to go into some rapid fire questions for you. And they're ridiculous. You don't have these, and I love that you don't have them because they're always fun. All right. Brevity is key. Don't overthink these, all of that stuff.
All right. What
is your current phone background?
Shit. Probably my son making a face of some sort.
Okay. Mine's is myself because I'm so into myself.
Right.
Just all of my ego is just, wow, you are.
I just look, it's my son in his Christmas sweater. So his ugly Christmas sweater.
Timely as we're recording this in the end of December. It's like just me being narcissist, like, just over top of my head.
Me.
The gift of me.
Right.
What so when you're working, what is more likely to be playing? Music, movie that you're not watching, podcast, or is it just silence?
Podcast.
Okay.
I'm really into podcasts lately.
It's good.
Compellingly.
Nice.
Not obsessively, compellingly into podcasts.
And it's funny, as a podcaster, I don't really listen to podcasts in that, because I think that it's become deprecated in some ways, and you find the stuff that you really like and enjoy. And I've gotten really into like audio dramas. So and I think that that's a format that more people are going to explore. Like, my thinking is, why aren't more plays, since that whole experience is different due to COVID and all,
right?
Why aren't more of them turning into like sort of audio dramas, the dialogue, the whole thing, you soundscape it. Because I found all of the old audio dramas for the Twilight Zone. And
oh my God.
Yes, it's great. I was like, yo.
Oh my goodness. I may have to check that out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Now this is so I got two left for you. What would the name of your memoir be?
Oh, I actually have this. The Girl That Left Her Bathing Suit Behind.
That's a great name. That's a great name. Yeah. It's better than the one I was going to say, but it's good.
Uh-oh.
Like, Weimers?
What would yours be?
It's like, Sarah Weimers? It's always a play on someone's name. It's always that. I always go for the cheapness. And lastly,
yes.
What is something, movie, pop culture related, what is something that without fail makes you laugh?
Oh, What We Do in the Shadows.
Just bat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, bats. Oh yes, it's so good. Guillermo has my heart.
It's really fun. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's great. That some of the comedies that are like that FX has out, it just works.
Sunny is another favorite. Oh my gosh, Sunny.
At one point, I thought I wanted to be a filmmaker, which may or may not be happening in the background. That was one of the references, and I'm a huge fan of Atlanta. That's just up there, and it relates to my sensibilities so much. Because I've recently watched the episode when they did like this documentary on the guy that made the Goofy movie, which is so stupid and it's so funny. And he's like, he was just really speaking on the black man's experience. He's goofy, right? And I was like, what are we doing? And just the fact that they're so serious about it is done like one of these heavy hitting documentaries.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, you guys got it. You win. No notes.
Gosh. I love it. Yeah, I love irreverent. Those are my people. And a lot of my art is that way, right? Yeah. I do a lot of like the subversive, random niche things. And if people connect and see, I'm like, oh, is that the character? And like, you're my people. I know you.
Every now and again, I'll throw out a reference on a podcast and someone will just ping me. It's like, I know what you was talking about.
Yeah.
You real stupid for that one. Because I always joke. I was like, I'm an Aquarius with a bit of that, because I'm a cusp. I'm an Aquarius, Capricorn cusp. And I have a bit of that Capricorn pettiness that's just sitting there and I can't resist it.
I'm cusp Sagittarius Capricorn.
Both of my parents are.
Yep. Got
just
fire and snark, right? Got like fire and snark.
It's like, yeah, you're like, I'm gonna make fun of you. Don't do what I said though. Like, what? So in that, I want to thank you for spending the time with me from Oregon, and
yes, thank you.
And chatting it up with me. And I want to invite and encourage you to share with the folks, the listeners, where they can check you out, your work, all of that good stuff. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I really first want to say thank you for having me on. It has been a pleasure and an honor to be on this podcast. And you can find me, I'm mostly on Instagram, and I'm going to say it first and then spell it because it's a little complicated. In Stitches by Sara, and that's INSTITCHESBYSARA. And that's the same handle that you can find me on TikTok, Instagram. My website is institchesbysara.com. And I'm posting usually every day, new art, process. It'll put a smile to your face. I promise you, you may even laugh out loud a little bit.
An actual LOL.
An actual LOL and IRL.
And that
LOL and IRL.
Nice. That actually could be your memoir title too, In Stitches by it
could be. It could be.
Maybe let's just make it a production company. Let's just make sure everything goes back to the source.
Right.
Yep. So again, thank you. I'm gonna do my wrap up here and I sign off. So for Sara Weimers, I am Rob Lee, saying that there's art, culture, people stitching things together with a bit of snark in and around your neck of the woods. You just got to look for it.